Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, religious leaders in the Republic of Cameroon breached denominational and belief barriers to hit the streets in a nation-wide effort to press for peace, sustainable peace and justice in a country hit by security and socio-political challenges up north, in the south, in the east, in the west of the country. And we'll also be talking about the COVID-19 in this edition of the news out of the country. Notably in Europe, the number of persons tested positive for coronavirus has continued rising, and EU member states are continuing to roll out vaccine against coronavirus. We begin this newscast in the far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, one of the regions of the country economically stricken as a result of security challenges. The 6-year war against the Boko Haram terrorist sect has brought untold economic hardship on that part of the country, with a huge consequence on the custom revenue collected from that part of the Republic of Cameroon. And now the military and the customs department are putting hands together to revamp the far north region of the country. Innocent as it has more.
The economy of the far north region is still limping for over 6 years now. Constant Boko Haram attacks, the COVID-19 pandemic and other factors undermined the economic activities at the Nigeria-Cameroon borders.
Nous n'avons pas
limited defense and security forces, underpopulation, the degraded route linking Puka, Kerewa and Nigeria 16 kilometers, and the health crisis are reasons why the economy of the region is paralyzed.
Toutes ces difficultés-là est à l'origine donc de la baisse de l'économie dans la région même en général.
The custom office in the far north has not been able to generate good revenue for the state. The aforementioned factors resulted to the closure of the Gweli Bridge linking Garoua and Chad that made smuggling alarming. The degradation of the National Road number 14 linking Amshede and Mora has left the users with no choice than using dangerous road stretches, as the adventure left many goods and trucks set on fire by Boko Haram, leaving transporters frustrated.
On voulait la route quittant de Kerewa, Nigeria, en allant à Mora. Toute la route est mauvaise.
The difficulties remain enormous given that the borders are not fully opened, the communication systems destroyed by rains in the rainy season are unrepaired, Boko Haram attacks persist, and the Limani Bridge that collapsed is yet to be reconstructed to once more enhance movement of people and goods.
On voulait le pont pour que fasse le travail. Le pont entre Nigeria, Kerewa, Nigeria et Cameroon.
If the custom sector succeeds to realize the sum of 365 million francs CFA as income instead of its anticipated 368 million francs CFA, making 99.18% for the far north region for the very first time since the Boko Haram attack started, it is thanks to its cooperation with defense and security forces to fight insecurity.
Il fallait bien évidemment que le chef secteur que je suis sorte de son bureau pour aller à la rencontre de l'autorité militaire, pour nouer un partenariat, pour en faire en sorte que les éléments, les collaborateurs qui sont sur le terrain puissent être accompagnés par l'autorité militaire.
It is also due to a new sensitization strategy for freight forwarders and economic operators put in place by the custom officials.
simplement résumé en deux choses.
This system will help fight corruption effectively and re-establish internet connection to ease their operations.
Qui traverse notre région et la fraude douanière d'une manière globale.
Meantime, at least 75% of youths are engaged in transit activities since first visits of Boko Haram that rendered them jobless.
Il faudrait que la douane soit un peu.
The customs officials should be soft in their measures to favor the struggling youths at the borders to revamp their economic activities.
Construire davantage la confiance.
However, it is believed the economy of the far north region is getting back to its feet, given many heavily loaded trucks are now entering the region. A recovery that is hoped will favor economic operators of the region who have lost almost everything following the multiple Boko Haram attacks.
Religious leaders and their followers brace up to hit Cameroon's major streets in some towns and cities of the country January 2021 to press for sustainable peace and justice in the crisis-stricken English-speaking northwest and southwest regions of the country and the country as a whole. And they have embarked on a one-week nationwide peace crusade. It started with a press conference in the southwest regional chief town Boya. Derek Jato files in details.
Faith-based organizations brace up ahead of January 2nd, 2021.
I've just finished with a press conference where we had the representative from the Roman Catholic Church, we had the Imam of Boya, we had the superintendent for the Full Gospel and the United Pentecostal Front.
Members of this ecumenical family say for the past 4 years now, Cameroon has known no peace, and they believe that the coming together of the various denominations nationwide to march for peace can bring the expected.
Cameroonian people have come through for 4 good years. We can bring an end to it, speaking as one person.
Come January 2nd, 2021, Boya, just like elsewhere, will have the same picture.
It shall be a non-violent march.
The mission is to see better days for a Cameroon that was once referred to as an island of peace in the sub-region.
Jato reporting there from the southwest region of the country. Reverend William, PCC National Peace Coordinator, and Imam Fomi Jibril Tamfu, Secretary General of the Boya Muslim Community, are with us today. Reverend, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Imam, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Right. I begin with you, Reverend. When you look at the prevailing situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, I know you're a man of faith, but let me ask you the question. Do you believe in a peaceful solution?
Obviously, anything that goes with violence definitely need peace as a solution. So I strongly believe peace is possible.
Imam, can we solve this problem in a peaceful manner, without the guns, without the violence, without the killings, the destructions?
Yes, we can't. You know, when the crisis always erupt within the community, the cries of the people is always they talk about peace. And to talk about peace, which means everybody has the intention that let the crisis come to an end, and it cannot come to an end without peace sitting together to discuss those differences.
Sitting together to discuss those differences. And you were sitting together in Boya, all of you coming from different religious communities, so to speak, different denominations. You were from the Muslim community, the Catholic community represented, the Pentecostal community. When you come together like this, what strategy are you thinking about to push forth this agenda of peace?
Yes, this time around, I think that the religious body has decided to come together instead of sitting in their various churches, sitting in their various prayers group to preach this peace. This time around, they have decided that they should come out maybe as a body to lament. When they come out to lament, the message will go further and further, and everybody will tend to understand the impact of peace, and this is what people have been clamoring for, but they cannot do it at the level of the churches. When different religious bodies comes together and speak in one voice, it creates more impact.
When people come together from different angles, from different religious angles, and speak together, it has greater impact. Reverend, what is it that is bringing all these bodies together despite the differences?
One thing that is bringing all of us together is love for fatherland, love for God's creation, and of course praying that we speak like a family of faithful men and women of God. And so peace is the core of it, and we believe at this time we are going to unite our forces like one man, because in the past you've been getting declaration from the bishops, you've been getting declaration from Presbyterians, declaration from SEPCA, declaration from Pentecostals, but this time we believe that with one voice, one man, as faith-based organization, our call for peace can be so strong.
This is a 1 week campaign. During 1 week, you're going to be crusading for peace. You're going to be taking some actions. What are the major highlights of this 1 week of crusade for peace?
Thank you very much. This idea, let me first of all remind viewers that this idea was born during a workshop of religious leaders in Boya from the 24th to the 27th last month, where these men of God decided to take the challenge, because a lot of people, a lot of young people have been losing their lives and a lot of terrible things are happening. And so we have organized a series of activities beginning with the launch. Most of this denomination launched this activity individually in their various churches. The Muslims had their prayers to launch these activities. On the 28th, we had the press conference, which you just broadcast on the news. And of course, today, 29, right up to the 31st, we are on media campaigns, calling on all Cameroonians, wherever they are, to join in this peace crusade. It is a crusade for us to pray, because men of faith believe that their weapon is prayers, and when we pray, we know God will certainly answer us. So on the 2nd of January, we want to call on all our faithfuls, being it Christians, Muslims from various backgrounds, to come out in their numbers, to march, not demonstrating, but to march peacefully with peace plans in the various areas where they have been invited by their leaders. And in this case, we believe at the end of it, there will be an impact that all of us need peace, and we really need peace in Cameroon.
Why did it take so long for this to happen? There have been some analysts, civil society, political leaders saying that if the bishops, the pastors, the imams were to take to the streets everywhere in Cameroon, it will produce some result in terms of restoring peace and normalcy in those two regions.
Yeah, I don't think it has taken too long, but I believe that we have been working in our different churches or denominations. But you know, to bring people together, the rules must be well established. And we're talking about issues of conflict. Issues of conflict are very sensitive in such a way that when they are not well managed, in cause of struggling that you are solving a conflict, it may create another conflict worse than the one that had been there before. So we're taking our time, consulting and looking at the path where all of us can come in. And I believe this is the right time, because everyone has been saying no to the crisis, no to the war. We can change and solve problems without bloodshed. I believe that change can come without necessarily using force.
Change can come without necessarily using force. Imam, other persons have announced peaceful protests before, notably the CRM political party, for example, and other civil society and political leaders. But the protests turned violent later on. notably with repression coming from security and defense forces? What are the measures that you've put in place? Reverend said it's going to be a non-violent move. What are the measures that you've put in place to ensure that there is no violence that infiltrates the peaceful?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Babila. And I think that throughout the national territory, both the religious authority, the political parties has felt the impact, the sufferings that people have been dying, or the suffering that people have been facing in the course of this crisis in the northwest and the southwest and in the far north region. As he rightly mentioned that it will be non-violent, that is the actual thing. He also mentioned that the only weapons that we can use is prayers. And a lot of activities has been going on in different denominations, which is all about prayers. On this particular day, the way it has been organized, I think it is a non-violent peace protest, because it is the religious people who are coming out in their numbers, and they will be coming out with their peace plans. The activity that will commemorate is all about ecumenism, preaching the word of God, singing to God, praising God, asking God for forgiveness, because forgiveness is very, very important. We have had each and every person in the course of this crisis, we need a lot of forgiveness as far as the return of peace is concerned. So as a result of this, we don't think that it is going to be some kind of violence. They are not demonstrating. We are coming together as a body to lament, to ask for God. God kindly intervenes for this crisis and bring a quick solution, because people will think that
while expecting from God, God will definitely use human beings. What do you expect from the authorities of this country at the end of this move?
Yes, at the head of this move, because the prayers is not only for the citizen, they are also praying for the leaders that may God send down wisdom to them to handle this crisis.
God should give them wisdom. Reverend, what are you expecting from the authorities of this country with regards to solving the conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions in a peaceful manner?
I want the authority of this nation to get involved. You know, we have reached a stage where we don't have to talk about position anymore. We don't have to talk about interest anymore. We have reached a position where we have to look at the need. What do Cameroonians need? If you are a leader, whatever position you have been put in place in this country, what posterity are you leaving behind? We are not living this world again about riches. They are rich people. I think what people are living for is legacy, keeping something for posterity. So I'm praying that the leaders of this country, first of all, every leader of this country, we have few atheists. I know that every person who is a leader in this country is either a Muslim or a Christian. And so they are part of this march that we are supposed to carry on the 2nd. We are not going to have any position within this particular activity. We believe everybody that will come out. If you are in a church group and a minister, for example, you should go to your church group and let's join and pray like one man from our heart, not our brain.
Reverend William, PCC National Peace Coordinator, Imam. For me, Jibril Tamfu, Secretary General of the Boya Muslim Community. Thank you all for coming.
You are welcome.
On to something else now. Civil society leaders in the Republic of Cameroon are raising concerns about a possible increase in fuel prices in the country, and they are saying that if this happens, it's going to further aggravate the frustrations of Cameroonians and increase their difficulties. Details in this report by Smanjik and Gabriel.
The Hydrocarbons Price Stabilization Agency is speaking of a decision to standardize prices. This implies in the entire territory the prices of super, diesel or kerosene will cost roughly the same. To do this, CSPH is proposing to add 7 francs CFA to the prices to entrust the consumers' rights. The decision came out during a meeting that held recently.
We find that not very normal, because as we all know, the situation in which our country is crossing, insecurity, health hazards like the COVID-19 and the wars in the northwest and southwest province, transport, people don't even travel as they were traveling. So transporters don't even carry enough passengers. So it will be difficult for us to meet up.
Many civil society organizations are against the move, considering an increase in the prices of petroleum products. In a memorandum addressed to the head of state, about 20 consumer rights organizations and transport union have requested that the proposal of standardization of prices should be abandoned.
How many people are there in Nguti, where I come from, who would buy fuel as compared to here in Douala? You see, so it's a very big gap. It's a very big gap. If the 1,000 million buy fuel here, in Nguti, 20 people will buy because we want to help them. It's not important. It's not important. That they want only to put everything in our head because it's in Douala and Yaoundé. Okay, let me say Bafusam or Kumba or Bamenda, where there are a big number of transporters, but the other areas, there's nothing, so we don't find it very important.
Civil society actors say the last time there was an increase in hydrocarbon products, it provoked social tension.
The lady who is in the house goes to the market with 2,000 francs, cannot buy everything because they will say fuel is they have increased fuel prices. Whenever they increase fuel prices, everything goes up automatically. So we would have thought that they would have even brought it down because in the world market the prices of raw fuel has dropped, but then they don't do anything. So it will be a very great consequence for the families who are suffering a lot now, sickness, insecurity, everything. I cannot say you are journalists, you know what is going on.
Hydrocarbon prices have fallen 55% in the international market since 2014, depriving Cameroon of part of its oil revenues. If the increase of 7 francs CFA proposed by CSPH is approved, it will take effect on January 1, 2021, implying that super, which costs between 630 to 647 francs CFA in the littoral and 630 to 662 francs CFA in the central region, will be 7 francs CFA more expensive.
The National Gendarmerie is stepping up the fight against illegal activities in the Republic of Cameroon. Elements of the Manju Gendarmerie Brigade in the Mongo Division have intercepted 150 kilograms of cannabis that was being transported to Kuseri. Immaculate Fokwe has more.
Cannabis hidden inside bags of dried pepper, intercepted by elements of the Manju Gendarmerie Brigade in Batri, East region of Cameroon. The suspected trafficker, Omar Mahamal, who tried smuggling 150 kilograms of marijuana, was intercepted at Manju after he left Baturi on his way to Kuseri, where he was to distribute the items.
My men and I were hinted about the situation. 3 bags of cannabis concealed inside dry pepper were seized. The victim left Baturi and was on his way to Kuseri, where he planned distributing the items.
The population of Manju salutes the efforts of men in uniform in tracking down all those involved in illegal practices.
We are very happy. If such people are not apprehended, then crime waves will be on the rise. By the time youths of our area start consuming hard drugs like this, they start acting strange. A young boy like me was presented to the public after he was intercepted while smuggling cannabis. I really appreciate the effort of security men.
The population have been called upon to continue collaborating with security agents so they could get better results. They equally call on inhabitants of Manju to be vigilant, especially during this festive period.
Elements of the National Gendarmerie in Manju in the east region of the country intercepted the 150 kilograms of cannabis. And now on to something else. The Minister of Transport of the Republic of Cameroon has suspended for a period of 1 month Avenue Transport Agency after the accident which killed over 40 persons on National Road number 4 in Équinoxe in the central region of the Republic of Cameroon. And road safety experts have attributed the accident to human errors. They say that the accident was caused to a greater extent by human errors. Equinoxe.
The Équinoxe road accident that claimed at least 37 lives of passengers, and the Melon accident involving a RAV4 Jeep and a 7-seater bus that claimed 2 lives are recent deadly accidents out of dozens registered on the national highways. Cameroonians are baffled of this recurrent life-snatching occurrence.
Les causes profondes de cet accident.
An expert in road safety, Isidore Fekou, highlights states of the vehicle, the driver's state, overloading, which can render a vehicle uncontrollable, to be major causes of road accidents. He knows the possible cause of the Équinoxe accident is probably fatigue of the driver because the road was just rehabilitated.
Cette route est en cours de réhabilitation et la chaussée est bonne.
Fatigue and slumber because most drivers do not rest during this festive period, all in a bid to maximize profits for their companies.
Pour réduire les accidents de la route au Cameroun,
Martial Missimikim, another road safety expert, suggests such accidents can be avoided by putting in place a regulatory mechanism for night transport, embark on a frank war against overloading, ensure drivers are on a stable driving state, thus control alcohol intake and drug consumption, check overspeeding and embark on sensitization campaigns.
Accouplé à des campagnes de répression de jour comme de nuit.
According to Isidore Fekou, sanctions upheld by the Ministry of Transport on road users will have no effect in limiting accidents. That's to better educate road users. It is imperative the ministry permits it is accompanied by the civil society, that is, associations and non-governmental organizations, that will see a sensitization program put in place with specific terms that will provide desirable solutions to frequent accidents on the national highways.
Coming up for me, Armstrong Sander takes us down memory lane into the political life of the Republic of Cameroon throughout 2020, and he reports that the year witnessed key redefining moments in the political life of Cameroon. Apart from the multiple elections that marked the year 2020, also witnessed some of the most crowd pulling protests, demonstrations across the country. His report.
2020 witnessed a fight for repositioning and a redefinition of the Cameroonian political landscape. The year 2020 opened with municipal and legislative election boycotted by the Cameroon People's Party, the Popular Action Political Party and the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Political Party. The CRM political party leader, Professor Maurice Kamto, shocked the nation on the eve of the final day to deposit candidacy files when he announced the decision of his party not to participate in the election, advancing problems with the electoral code and the unending crisis in the Anglophone regions of the country. Elections are conducted, results are published, and the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM political party, maintains a lion's share of the National Assembly, winning 150 out of 180 seats of Cameroon's lower house of parliament. Repositioning is done. The opposition is left with just 30 seats to fight over. New faces are seen at the National Assembly, thanks to Johnny Just Come political parties to the National Assembly. Notably, the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation with 5 seats, the Cameroon National Salvation Front with 3 seats, the Union of Socialist Movements with 2 seats, and the Movement for the Defense of the Republic with 2 seats, from one seat in the 9th legislative period. Some opposition political party organs, like the Social Democratic Front and the National Union for Democracy and Progress, got maintained at the National Assembly, but witnessed great changes in their number of seats. Similar changes are witnessed at the level of municipalities. Government delegates pave ways to city mayors in Cameroon. The CRM party takes lead in political news in Cameroon, staging repeated protest demonstrations against the electoral code and the Anglophone crisis in different towns and cities in Cameroon. Hundreds of its supporters and sympathizers are arrested, according to the party news. Others will be tried and released, while some are still being detained, like Professor Alain Fugui and Olivier Bibou-Nissac. The international community, like the United Nations organization, will later come in to denounce what they call crackdown on peaceful protesters in the country. The Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party leader Maurice Kamto, on his part, will be held under a house arrest for 79 days before being released. 2020, politically in Cameroon, will end with the holding of the pioneer regional election in the country, redefining the election boycotted by the likes of the Social Democratic Front and the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party. Will see the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM political party, winning 9 out of the 10 regions of the country.
European Union member states are continuing to roll out the vaccine against the coronavirus. Yesterday, deliveries were delayed in 8 countries because the jabs could not be kept cool enough. The number of persons tested positive for the virus continues increasing, with England, Spain, Italy and Sweden being particularly badly affected, and many of the positive tests for the new variant that were first announced in the United Kingdom. Katsi News.
The UK has reported its worst daily figure for new infections since the pandemic began. More than 41,000 cases are recorded in a single day. Nurses and doctors are said to be stretched, and emergency departments at hospitals are under intense pressure. Health officials in Wales and Scotland have also said they're at risk of becoming overwhelmed. Spain too has rising figures. Its coronavirus death toll has crossed the 50,000 mark. With the rollout of Europe's vaccination program, Madrid just set up a registry of people who refuse to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has acknowledged the progress made by scientists in the battle against the virus.
New ground has been broken, not least with the extraordinary cooperation between the private and public sector in this pandemic, and in recent weeks, safe and effective vaccine rollout has started in a number of countries, which is an incredible scientific achievement. This is fantastic, but WHO will not rest until those in need everywhere in all countries have access to the new vaccines and are protected.
Italy has registered another variant of the COVID-19. It may have been in circulation before the one discovered in the UK. Work has been carried out at the University of Brescia after a patient there continued to test positive for the virus even after recovering. And in a major policy U-turn, Sweden is introducing a new law enabling it to shut shopping malls or public transport if necessary. Lockdown-free Sweden has controversially relied mostly on recommendations to curb the infection so far.
That's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for staying with us. We are receiving social and human rights activists, founder of the Network for Solidarity, Hope and Empowerment, Sonki Mirabel. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me with you today. Thank you.
Some religious bodies are now stepping up efforts to ensure that, to contribute in the peaceful resolution of the 4-year-long conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. What do you think about the resolution of this conflict in a peaceful manner?
Mr. Babila, I think we've seen across the world that arms have never resolved a problem. We need to sit on the table and discuss the problems that everybody is talking about. There's a problem actually in our country. It's rather unfortunate that international bodies have talked, you know, even national, you have people in the country who have talked about it. Resolving a problem in this conflict has to be in a peaceful manner. We have to get our boys out of the bushes and let them know that it's not going to help us in any way. We've killed ourselves. Why are we killing ourselves when there are more, or that, you know, like the effective, you know, like conflict management tools in place? We can negotiate. Let's talk about what is happening. Today we talk about the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions. We talk about the conflict even in the north regions. This is appalling because you have girls, women, and young children suffering from the effects of this violence, which are going across, and even, you know, like a lot of women are being sexually abused during this conflict. So this is something that we need to sit and we talk about it. We need to discuss what is the problem, what is at stake. Let's, you know, like, we are brothers whether we like it or not. We need to look at each other in the eyes and say, this is what is happening. How do we solve it? It takes collective, you know, like, it needs collective action for this conflict to be resolved. We cannot wait. The military has never solved a problem, to the best of my knowledge. I saw it in Liberia, I saw it in Sierra Leone, I saw seen it in Congo DRC, in Mali. We need to sit on the table and say it's not working. What are the solutions we have at hand? It's been going on for 4 years. So
the government brought together people from across the board, politicians, religious leaders, civil society, international bodies, to discuss this Anglophone crisis in the major national dialogue. Now you're saying that we should sit down again.
Agreed. We should sit down. We should sit down. These people, we need to come out with a list of people who know the grievances. All these people were, you know, like government officials. They were government officials. They don't know the needs of the people down there. They need to go, they need to be a survey to know what the problem is. People are asking for cessation. Why? Why? It's, you know, like, it's so funny. I was in Bangam yesterday. You can see the difference. When you get out of the Francophone region, the tar stops. So these are some of the things that we really need to look at each other in the eyes and say, I am not satisfied with A, B, C, and D. Let's see how we can, let's have a rethink on how we can resolve this problem. And it can only be possible if we talk as people.
Those who are asking for cessation should be brought to the table, should be heard, should be listened to. Is that what you're saying?
Agreed. This is what, correct. These people need to be heard. Because when you look at, for example, when I saw what was going on at the national dialogue, I didn't see anybody from the, let me call it, from the warring faction or from the secessionist group. I didn't see them. They're Cameroonians. If at all, you know, like, if they consider them as Cameroonians, they should be talking as well. You know, like, laying down their grievances. If they don't talk about their grievances, how do you solve the problem? You have to talk to them. So they tell you this, my tooth is hurting. How do you solve the toothache? If you don't diagnose the toothache, you can never solve it. So that is the reason why everybody, they have representative, let the representative come. And I bet you it's not going to happen in Cameroon like in other countries. In Mali, for example, the peace talks is happening in Algeria. So they should get a neutral ground where this thing can take place. Because most often, these guys are scared to come out. None of them will come to Yaoundé or Douala for a peaceful talk. Let's say Gabon. Let's convene them to Gabon, to Nigeria, or any country, and have a peace agreement. These arms need to stop. For 4 years, I've not been to my village because I'm scared. I don't know whether it's the boys that are going to attack me or it's the military. You know, it's scary. It's scary. This is not the country we want.
And the consequences are there, and women and children in particular are more affected, notably in terms of rape that is increasing, or the sexual violence increasing within the insecurity in those two regions?
Exactly. The scope of sexual violence in the insecure zone is appalling. Not only there, you know, like you have women who have come for refuge in this, let's say, Douala, Yaoundé, Bafoussam. They are also victims.
The IDPs.
The IDPs are victims of sexual violence. The people who took them in, we have cases where somebody, I take you in and you become my sex slave. This is happening here in Douala, in Yaoundé. We have so many cases. That's why we saw the need to carry out the sensitization. We are on the second edition of our sensitization. It starts from me. Just before I got on studio, I received a text message that there's another case where a stepfather is raping the stepdaughter. These are some of these cases we receive every day.
Away from the crisis.
Away from the crisis.
Or the issues that are flowing from the crisis, what is the rate of rape and other sexual violence in Cameroon today?
The scope is so wide. If I don't want to scare you, but every household there's sexual violence happening inside. It's either an uncle, because from the statistics we have, 90% of rape cases are being perpetrated by people we know. The rape cases are perpetrated by people we know. It doesn't come from far. It's a neighbor, it's the uncle, it's the stepfather, you know, like it's somebody in the community we know. There are religious leaders, you know, like you even have political leaders who are doing the same. The case I'm talking about, it seems as if the man is an influential person in the community. His case is not an isolated case. There's so many of them like that. And we need to stop this because the effects are so long. It's a lifetime, you know, like the effects of rape, I don't know. I can't even explain. Until you see a rape victim like the one who just had, whose perpetrator had the life sentence, then you will understand the effects of rape. It's something that is life-threatening. So many have died.
And there is this issue of, you know, trying to justify rape with some issues like poor dressing and things like that.
Wow. Those are enablers of rape. They are promoting rape culture. Anybody who justifies rape is promoting rape culture. There's an image I share usually. There's this lady who was wearing a short skirt. It's just so funny. She said, okay, her short skirt made her to be raped. This woman came up with a burqa. She's like, oh, with my burqa, I was raped. And the little baby who had diapers on say, don't say your burqa or your short skirt or your jeans caused that. No, I was raped in my diapers. Was I wearing sexy diapers? So if 3-year-old, 6 months old are raped, how do you want to justify that case? It's unacceptable. The rapist or the perpetrator took a deliberate decision to perpetrate that act. It has nothing to do with indecent dressing, because children as young as 3 months are raped. So how do you justify that case? How do you justify that case? Judy was 3 years old when she was defiled by the aunt's partner. So how do you justify she was wearing, in the middle of the night, was she wearing a sexy diaper? This is what I still have to understand.
So the cause is somewhere else.
It's somewhere else. No, it's somewhere else. We should not be rape apologists. I'm sorry. We shouldn't be rape apologists. And also, I want to seize this opportunity because I had in Bamenda last week. I was talking to some teenagers who were pregnant. You know, they had their babies very young. Out of the 70, 35 were cases of rape. They got pregnant as a result of rape. So that is why during our sensitization, we're advising them, immediately you are a victim, seek medical attention to prevent unwanted pregnancies and sexually transmissible diseases. You have 48 hours. You have 48 hours to get yourself out of the mess for this kind of thing, in as much as the rape is going to last with you forever until, except you seek a psychological support, without which it's a lifetime, you know, like it's a lifetime struggle. This is some of the things we minimize. And families too, they have to stop stigmatizing victims, because the dysfunction, the family relations, the communication between family members is so dysfunctional that the children don't even want to tell the mother or the father of rape, because they're going to be stigmatized from home. We have to.
Even within the society.
I think now, I just want to tell you, I've been fighting rape virtually for over 2 years now. I'm on social media talking about rape. I think we are normalizing this conversation about sexual violence. We don't have to stigmatize the victims. It's never their fault. And it will never be their fault. So whatever it is, with what we did, we reached out to, the past month, we reached out to over 20,000 people in the 7 towns we went to. So you could see the difference. People now understand that it's never the victim's fault. Because how will you imagine, I come visit you like a friend, and you have, how do you say it? You have dark thoughts about me, and you end up raping me. Will you blame me for visiting you? You will not blame me for visiting you. So you have to take me as a friend. We have to start, even for adults, we have to seek consent. Every relationship, you know, you have to be, sex should be consensual. You don't have to force yourself.
All right, the thousands of people you met, besides telling them that if you're raped, this is what you need to do. What else were you telling them in the sense of prevention? Because I think prevention is better than cure, as it is often said. Agreed.
We were trying to, like most of the girls we talked to, we told them how to scream. We taught them how to scream, help. Because except on condition that you are drugged, because you have drug-facilitated rape. But in the instance, we even taught them some self-defense strategies, how to defend yourself in the event that somebody is intending to rape you. I will not tell you not to go and visit your uncle. Because if your uncle rapes you, how do you want me to prevent that? It means we have to tell you not to go visit your uncle. We have to tell you not to go visit your mom who is remarried. These are some of the things, because the perpetrators are people around. The most preventive is teaching people not to rape. Seek consent. And if you are raped, please reach out to us. The police is there. The laws of Cameroon are still there to protect you. They will, you know, like, because this is the only way. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed. Don't take it to yourself. Reach out. Seek for help. We don't have a lot of resources, but the little we have a couple of lawyers who are supporting the cause with their services on a pro bono basis. They attend because normally it's a criminal case. So they go there just for, you know, like, so the state knows there are people watching what is happening. We have the penal code that penalizes rape. We just had, I think I'll call it our Christmas gift, because 2020 has not been easy. I will announce here on air that the perpetrator of the 3-year-old girl, the little girl who was raped last year in Ebolova, he got a life sentence. He got a life sentence. And the more people are prosecuted, the less we will have rape cases, because the problem is people neglect. You know, they neglect the laws. They say, oh, the police here, the judge here, and no. You have, the state of Cameroon still has laws. The only problem is we do not take advantage of what we have in place. Yeah.
All right. Now, talking about the young girls themselves, when we look at some of the cases with your analysis or the information that you have, which is more frequent, drug-related rape or rape by force or other strategies, which is more frequent?
Drug-related rape is very minute. It's very minute. That one happens, you can count in every 100 rape you have about maybe maximum 10. Drug facilitated. It means that you went out with your friends, you were partying, and then they got, you know, like in the middle, they got you drunk and things like that. But other cases, like you have people living in houses, That happens. We have cases like that that have been happening. Uncles, cousins raping their nieces and nephews. It's not only women that are raped. We have the guy in Bagante who was killed 2-3 weeks ago. It was not something that was, it was not drug facilitated. Somebody intentionally decided to do that. The person was not under the influence of alcohol. The little boy was not under the influence of alcohol. So it's something, and you know, I would say most of these rapists, they know how to, you know, like they know how to lure their victims. They start by giving you gifts. They even go as far as telling you not to report. That in the event you tell somebody you will die or they will kill your parents. You know, like, so they instill some, you know, like they instill some fright in you, so you don't have the way to talk to somebody. You know, they have their ways of doing it. They have their ways of doing it, so it makes you the victim. For example, when you are a child, we have a case of a 24-year-old, because the stepfather is an influential person, she still has not got the guts to go to the police. She's even pregnant for her stepfather. Can you believe that? These are the cases we have around. Influential people doing such things. These are the people who are supposed to be protecting their stepchildren. When you get married to a woman who has a child, or you get married to a man who has children, it's a full package. It's a full package. You don't discriminate, or you leave the woman alone. You don't have to take your child to be your second wife, because that's what, and we women, I blame the mothers who tolerate such abuses. You can't. You shouldn't be tolerating such abuses in your home.
All right. Beyond what you have been doing, what should be done at the level of legal instruments to kind of discourage the rapists, to kind of stop or reduce the rate?
I think I want to look at mostly the security and defense forces, that the police and the gendarmerie. They should stop. If you know, like, because most often from the stories I gathered, the people tell me the police told us to negotiate, the gendarmerie told us to negotiate. What are you negotiating? What are you negotiating? Are you negotiating a trauma that your child will live with all your life? And they negotiate for how much? As little as 100,000, 50,000. We have a case in Bangam currently where the man is saying that, no, I don't want any problem with the man who raped my stepdaughter. I just want it, and I told him, you're going to go in as an enabler, because you're an accomplice. Because if this man is at the gendarmerie awaiting trial, and you go, you say you want the money you paid for the hospital bills to be reimbursed, it means you are an enabler. We should stop that. People should be paid. People should be paid for their crimes. It means that they should be punished. So the security and defense forces, if they are listening, I know some cases. I have friends who tell me because wait until your daughter is raped, and then you will understand what the other parent has been going through. Don't be there. Don't be there to say negotiate. What are you negotiating?
No negotiation.
No negotiation.
Should be applied.
The law should be applied. The law should be applied, because only by then, by so doing, will rape be eradicated from our communities. If you are raped, go to the police. If you think that you are scared of going to the police, you have a lot of associations out there supporting you. You come to us, we will accompany you. We did that for the little girl in Ebolola, and why not you? We're doing it for other cases. We will accompany you. It's the state against you, against the perpetrator. It's not like you have to, you just need to be present, so that the judges, they know that the civil society is around, they have an eye on the case. So even if at all there's anything that is going to happen, the law will be applied.
Right, Sonke Mirabel, social and human rights activist, founder of the Network for Solidarity, Hope and Empowerment. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Babila.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. Equinoxe is up next.